Alright, let's look at chemistry jam question. The question is the order in which a mixture of sand, ammonium chloride, and sodium chloride can be separated is. Now, this question is on separation techniques. We have different types of separation techniques. We have filtration, we have sublimation, we have dissolution, we have evaporation. Now, first of all, let's talk about what sand. Sand here is a solid. Ammonium chloride there is a solid. Example for ammonium chloride, we have a camphor. Sodium chloride is a salt, which is also solid. Now, in which order of separation can the mixture be separated? A here is sublimation to dissolution, to filtration to evaporation. B here is dissolution to dryness to filtration to evaporation. C is filtration to sublimation to evaporation to dryness. D is dissolution to filtration to sublimation to what? Evaporation. Now, all these are mixture. It means that if this is a container, for example, it means in this container we have sand, we have ammonium chloride, and we also have sodium chloride. Sodium chloride in this container, everything are mixed together. How can we separate them? And if you look at this, they are all solid. But because of the change of state of matter, we can be able to separate these three substances in this. Now, how do we go about the separation? Our options are given. How do we go about the separation? First of all, we are going to separate the easiest one. Now, from this, the easiest substance that can be separated here is ammonium chloride. Now, how can ammonium chloride be separated? Ammonium chloride is a solid, and when it is heated, we say that they sublime. They do what? They sublime. When we say they sublime, as a solid, they change it directly to what? To gaseous state without passing through liquid state. Now, let's just assume heat is introduced into this medium. Heat is introduced into what? Into the system or the container. The first substance that will diffuse here, that will be separated here, is the ammonium chloride. Because when the whole of this, when sand, ammonium chloride and salt is heated, ammonium chloride will diffuse. Why? Because of how the particles are arranged. I get to be the sublime. When we say the sublime, they change it directly to gas. So the gas will be removed. If the gas is removed, then let's look at a question. To the options we have, rather, we have option A, sublime, that is sublimation. If heat is applied to this will sublime. All of this will evaporate in gaseous form out of the container. Now, if this evaporates, let's clean it out. We are left with only sand and what? And salt. Sand and what? And salt. Now, with this, we can say that the sand will be separated by dissolving it in water. We dissolve now. We are going to dissolve the sand and the salt together in water. When you dissolve the sand and the salt to water, there is a mixture of sand and salt that is left. The next separation techniques we are going to apply to separate the sand and the sodium chloride in water after dissolving it in water is going to be what? Filtration. It's going to be what? Filtration. Now, when we carry out filtration, we'll be able to separate the sand from what? From the liquid itself. Now, in the mixture of the sand and sodium chloride, we introduce water. We will do what? We introduce water. That is where we have what? The solution. We are going to dissolve the sand and the water to form sand and salt solution together. Now, the next thing we are going to do is the separation. Now, we are going to separate the sand only using filtration. Using what? Filtration. Now, we have added water to form a dissolution of sand and salt solution. Now, we are going to carry out filtration to separate what? The sand. When we separate the sand, are you getting me? Using the separation funnel. When we separate the sand, or using decantation method. I get to me. Decantation, when we talk about decantation, we allow the sand and the salt to stand, then we turn away the water, leaving behind what? The sand particles. Now, that filtrate or that filtered water that we have, the filtered water or the filtrate that we have, which is still not pure, that water is still containing salt. Now, this is the water, it will be containing what? Salt, which is sodium chloride. We are able to separate what? The sand. The sand will be collected inside the funnel or another container as what? As residual. As what? As residual. as it is doing. Now, after achieving what? The sand, removing the sand, we are left with only what? The sodium chloride inside the water. Now, the method that we can use to recover the salt, which is the sodium chloride in water, is by what? Evaporation to dryness. We are going to what? Apply heat to the what? To the solution of what? Of the salt. When we heat it up, it's still going to the water will evaporate, leaving behind what? The salt. The water will evaporate, leaving behind what? The salt. So by so doing, option A is the correct order in which the mixture of sand, ammonium chloride, and sodium chloride can be separated. Sublimation to the solution in water, filtration what? To evaporation. So option A is the correct answer. It is not the solution. But if you're desolating it, if you're desolating what the mixture, what happens to the ammonium chloride? What happens to what? To the ammonium chloride? What happens to it? So this one is wrong. If you're using filtration, what's the happen to the ammonium chloride? Because they are in a mixture. If you're saying solution again here in option D, is also still wrong. So the correct order in which they can be separated is what? Sublimation, because of the presence of the ammonium chloride. So option A is the correct answer. Thank you very much.